Welcome back, friends. We are to the point in our sock where we are going to do what's called gobbling the gusset. So currently on our needle, we have, I'm going to show you on this finished sock since it's a little easier to see. All of these stitches along here, kind of where I went back to this kind of gray multicolored here, all of these stitches along the bottom, and then all the stitches along the top all the way around. So these stitches here are the stitches that hung out on our needle and we didn't do anything with them for a while we did the heel flap. And then these are the ones we've just picked up. And then these are the ones that were left over after we did the heel cap. So as you can see here though, this area is a lot wider than over here when we get to, this is called the instep, or kind of the long foot part of our sock. So how do we get from all these extra stitches along here back down to where we were? And this number of stitches down here is the same as the number of stitches we had up here, which is the same as your sock number. How we do that is every other round, we're going to do a series of decreases, and it's going to make this little ridge here. I don't know if you can see it super well on my video, but it's going to make a little ridge here. Same on the other side. So let's get down to that. I just finished knitting even all the way across the bottom of my sock. This right here is where we picked up the stitches on that second side, and we are ready to start gobbling the gusset is what the term that I've heard, because we'll be doing that series of decreases as kind of gobbling stitches, I guess. So we're going to start by, this is the top of our sock, and this has, in my case, 20 stitches. It'll be half of whatever your sock number is. Oh, let me not smack my camera there. Every time we get to this part of the round, we're going to just knit it evenly. So we want to keep that 20 stitches on here always. So, or in your case, it might be a few more or less, but whatever half of your sock number is. So we will just be knitting evenly across this part of the sock throughout this whole section here. The difference will be on the other half of the needle there with those stitches. I am going to count real quick how many stitches I have on the other side here, because I'm not even sure. How many do I have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36. I'll write that down real quick. 36 stitches. I need to get down to 20 because we're going to need to have the same number on this side as we do on that side, so that we have a total of our sock number, in my case 40. So that means I need to decrease 16 stitches. So on each decrease row, I will be decreasing 2 stitches, and so I'll end up working a total of 8 decrease rows. So, all right, so now we're going to work a decrease row. So this is the beginning of our row now. We are going to knit 2 decreases on this half and then no decreases on the back. Just knit even. So how are we going to do that? At the beginning of the row, we're going to slip, slip, knit, which is I'm going to go into this stitch as if I'm going to knit it, but I'm not. I'm going to just slip it off the needle. Same with the second one, slip it off the needle. Then I'm going to go in with my left hand needle in through the front of both stitches and knit them together. So that's one decrease made. Then we're going to knit to 2 stitches before the end of this row. And we're going to simply knit those 2 together. We're not going to slip any stitches. We're just going to knit them together. This will create that slanted ridge kind of that I showed you on that other sock and make it look nice and neat as we're decreasing. So I'm knitting all the way to the other end. I'll also show you here in a moment how I keep track of whether we're doing a decrease round or not, because we're going to finish this decrease round and then we're going to do 1 whole round with no decreases at all. And then do the next round we will decrease, and we will continue to do that, decrease every other row until we are down to our sock number again for our total number of stitches. So I've knitted to the last 2. I'm just going to go in and knit both of them together. I went in to the left of the second stitch, went in as if to knit them both, and I did knit them both together. So then I'm going to knit the back stitches even, no decreases. But before I do that, I'm going to show you, I'm going to go ahead and put a stitch marker. We can go back to yellow since I said we only needed 2 colors. We're just going to switch colors again. I'm going to mark this row with a stitch marker so I know I decreased on this row. Then I'm going to come over here and just knit these even, no decreases. Sorry for all that clacking, it might be kind of annoying. All right, and then I'm going to do 1 whole round on the one with a lot of stitches, even with no decreases, then the back with no decreases also. And then after that, I'm going to do another decreased row, and I'm just going to continue in that way, a decreased row on every other row until I get down to having the same number of stitches on both halves. In my case, it will be 20 on each side, so that I'm back to the sock number. So again, your sock number may be different, so you're wanting half the stitches on this side, half the stitches on that side to equal the number of your sock number. So at that point, I will come back and we'll be knitting the instep. One last thing, Callista from the future here. I wanted to show you what I do with this marker as we go along. Because remember back here, I was doing markers every 5 rows to keep track of how many rows I've done so that when I do the second sock, it makes it a lot easier. Here, when I'm doing the gusset, I am using this marker to remind myself which row I have decreased on so that I can know if I'm doing an even row or a decreased row. So this marker here was on my first decrease row, then I did a row even. Now I did another decrease row, and I'm going to move my marker up right along here so that I know this was a decrease row. And how I know, or how I will know on this, Callista, why are you not doing it every 5 rows like before? Answer is, when I do my second sock, I'm not going to need to know exactly how many rows this is because it is dictated by getting down to the number of stitches that I need rather than a certain number of rows, if that makes sense. So when I am down to the number of stitches I need, I will start having a stitch marker every 5 rows so that when we're doing the long part of the foot before the toe, I will be able to count those rows for the second sock. So, so yeah, I just wanted to kind of tag this onto the end of my video here to show you how I keep track of whether I am on a decreased row or an even row by moving this stitch marker along.